by race a huge disparity, and again, anywhere from 55% to 80% did, and then that extra 50 to 25% did not. Kids, you can see by gender, again, boys a little bit more active than girls. Most students are not physically active 60 minutes per day, and that's a recommendation. And as you get older, kids, 9th graders will exercise more than 12th graders. I think that's pretty much common sense. And PE class, we know that's fallen out of our systems almost completely. And this is once a week. You can see that about half the kids actually go to PE about once a week. And what happened to having PE every day in schools, and that's almost gone as well. TV and screen time. A lot of kids getting a third of kids, about 3+ hours a day of non-school computer usage, and that's then on top of maybe 2 to 3 hours of TV. So that's a lot of sedentary time. Consequences then of this. So all these factors coming into play. Biological and social health. We'll get into this a little bit more later. Overweight, obese children are more likely to become obese adults. We know that for a fact. You're going to see increased rates of diabetes, which we are seeing a little bit in our children in our state. And you do see in adults an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. There's sleeping problems and social stigmas, although social stigmas are changing because it's becoming more accepted to be overweight or obese. Productivity, adults and kids, greater levels of absenteeism, decreases in work performance, decreases in academic performance. MCAS in the state has been linked to fitness in some studies in Cambridge and Somerville. And then the costs, I think they're pretty staggering. If you look at the estimated cost for obesity in 2002, we know the problem's worse now, it's $15 billion. Per child, medical expenses for an overweight or obese child is about $200 more per year than a non-overweight child. So as a researcher, scientist, how I look at the obesity problem is I am in charge with finding new scientific evidence. And I think this is important because we need data. And if you have data, you can actually have tell people about it, have activism to stop the epidemic. You can get bills and initiatives proposed, in our state legislature, and hopefully have enacted policy that might help combat the obesity epidemic. And really what I want to do now is show you one little piece of research that we're doing at Tufts that's trying to tie in some really, science in the community with kids that actually might impact policy in the long run. And this was in Somerville. It's a 3-year study funded by the American Heart Association called the FIT study. It's really establishing the relationship between physical fitness, weight status, and biological risk factors in kids. And what I said is that if kids physically fit, even if they're overweight, their biological health is going to be better. And this isn't BMI. This is actually looking at cholesterol levels. And what you can see in these kids so far, after 1 year, there's about 300 kids. If a child's overweight, they're going to have higher triglycerides, lower HDL, higher CRP, which is an inflammatory marker, and some other things. Fitness, if they are fit, if they're unfit, again, they're going to have higher triglycerides, lower HDL, and higher CRP. And this fitness test was a shuttle run. I don't know how many of you guys have ever done a shuttle run for fitness test in school, but it's a measure of cardiovascular endurance. It's a school-based fitness test, and not a lot of schools have fitness testing anymore. And you can see here, if a child in combination is both overweight and not fit, so those things in combination, you see that they're going to have a lower HDL, a higher triglycerides, and a higher CRP. It's a compounded effect. So if we can get those overweight kids just to be a little bit fitter, they're going to be so much better off. And the most promising universal approaches then I would end with is that we have to understand that we have a problem in our state, even though we might not seem as bad as the rest of the country. We have to collect data, that way we can inform policy. And we have to think about prevention, taking a life course approach, starting with a child in utero possibly, all the way through our older age. We need to teach health professionals about prevention, just not treatment. Increase business and organizational care of health of the employees. And parents serve as role models for a healthy lifestyle. I think that's really important, so that's a family affair. And then obviously there's got to be a lot of zoning changes in our built environment so that access to healthy foods and the ability to be physically active is available. So with that, I thank you and look forward to the next presentation.